I think I started roughly like 3 years ago. I started like 2022 once like the pandemic, like there was definitely no more buy for COVID stuff. And so I just like was listing gloves. So first month, 300, 3,000, 30,000 after that. I think my first year on Amazon, I did roughly 700,000 in sales. The next year I did 1.4. And then in the recent one, I did 2.3. I think next year will probably be around 4 million a year. And like my thing is just to like keep scaling it. I think, like the key, if you really want to scale your business, a lot of people ask me, like, I want to get to 100K sales a month, but I don't know how. And I'm like, dude, you just have to have more inventory.
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation. What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. Once again, it's your boy, Kaj, here in the virtual studios with my co-host, Josh.
What's going on, everybody?
And before we dive into the conversation with our guest for today, wanted to quickly plug the sponsor of today's episode. That is SellerSnap. SellerSnap is our repricer of choice. They help you avoid price wars, stay in the buy box longer, increase your profits, an absolute must-have if you are trying to scale on Amazon with lots of SKUs and not tank listings. SellerSnap has been our repricer of choice for many, many years and will continue to be so. And with that, I'd like to introduce our guest today, who is Sean. Oh, wait. I'm 0 for 2 on the last 2 weeks on pronouncing last names here. This is embarrassing. So okay. How do you pronounce your last name?
The P on the end. So Sean Kaup.
Oh yeah, I was not going to get that. That's funny. So Sean, thanks for making time, man. Sorry, I butchered your last name, but I appreciate you being here.
No worries. You wouldn't be the first one, but super excited to be on the podcast. So thank you guys so much for having me. And also shout out SellerSnap. I mean, if you're serious about scaling on Amazon, I think it's a no-brainer. Like I tell people this all the time and they're like, oh, I'm going to wait until I get bigger and I get to like 50K. But if you're under 50K revenue a month, I mean, you can get it for 250 and like you can just buzz saw people that don't have it. So I'm a big proponent of SellerSnap.
Well said. You see, we're not the only people using it, guys. Got to get your SellerSnap. Love it. Awesome. All right. Well, Sean, just kind of give your background in the space, right? So how did you find e-commerce, selling on Amazon? How long have you been selling? And then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, cool. So I was working at my dad's company and he was like a jewelry manufacturer. I sold the business. I quit. And then I was like, I know like my mega trend that like I want to catch is like e-commerce because like, you can pretty much disassociate your time and your money. You can set up a store. For me, I got into it doing Shopify, right? So I was like, okay, COVID's going on. I'm going to set up a store. It's called Maverick Medical. And we would sell masks, right? And COVID tests and stuff like that. That like boomed and bust. I think like my top month on Shopify I did like 180K in a month. But then like 6 months later, it was like at 3K, right? And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm just like trying to figure it out. And then I was like trying to offload some of my inventory. And that's where I kind of, saw some of the videos about Amazon, like learned like SellerAmp, Keepa. And I was like, oh, I can like actually get rid of some of this inventory that I have from my business. Like as long as I just got to play like the brand game, right? Like you find a brand, if you have a lower cost for the item, then your return after fees and shipping, you make money. So I started doing that. And I think my first month I did $300 in sales, second month, 3,000, third month, 30,000. And then I was at like 100K sales per month, I think within 6 months.
Dang.
So I'm currently doing about 300K a month.
Dang, that's insane. So you started with, was that Shopify drop shipping or did you actually kind of like have your own like white label brand?
So I would do some drop shipping with it, but I wasn't even like my own white label brand. It's like I was just like buying like resources that were like in short supply and then like selling them for more. So like I would buy other people's brands like Clorox or, like N95 masks. And then I would just like sell them. I got like hooked up with like Enterprise Rent-A-Center and like a couple country clubs and like some companies like in Silicon Valley. And like when the tests were like coming in and like the masks and everything, like, dude, it was killer, but just not long lasting.
Right. Interesting. And so then the move was, okay, you had all this inventory that you were stuck with and you were just trying to figure out how to liquidate that. And in that research process is how you found Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was watching like Miles or Werner's videos and like when they
Yep,
were breaking
classic.
down. So this is probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Now, did
So
you actually take their roadmap?
I did not, honestly. I've never really like had mentorship or like paid for a mentor. I mean, I know a lot of people say it. I mean, I mentor people, and I think it's like a really good service. Like if I could talk to myself 3 years ago, like I could literally save myself hundreds of thousands of dollars. I probably should have taken Miles's course just to learn about the discounted gift cards, because I spent millions of dollars without discounted gift cards, and just that, like, it would have saved me a lot of money.
Okay, so you had that Shopify background, switched into Amazon, and then you were able to scale it pretty quick, right? So you said like from 300 to 3,000, and then got up to 100K within that first 6 months. So staying on that topic of numbers, right? So you said you started in like 2020, 2021. Just take me through like what your sales looked like over the time from like a yearly basis, and then also what's been your best month to date in terms of revenue and profit.
Okay, so I think I started roughly like 3 years ago. I started like 2022, once like the pandemic, like there was definitely no more buy for COVID stuff. And so I just like was listing gloves. So first month, 300, 3,000, 30,000 after that. I think my first year on Amazon, I did roughly 700,000 in sales. The next year I did 1.4. And then in the recent one, I did 2.3. I think next year will probably be around 4 million a year. And like my thing is just to like keep scaling it. I think, like the key, if you really want to scale your business, a lot of people ask me, like, I want to get to 100K sales a month, but I don't know how. And I'm like, dude, you just have to have more inventory. Like if you borrow money and you find profitable leads, like that's like the cheat code to scaling and like making more money on Amazon.
It really does just come down to that, is you need more inventory, more SKUs, more inventory, and then, but they have to be good SKUs and good inventory. So you said, so right now we're in middle of 2025, 2024, you did about, you said 2.4.
Yeah.
And then what kind of margin do you think you're working with, like around for gross?
I think gross probably like 12 and a half to 15, somewhere there, probably more towards 12 and a half. Honestly, Amazon accounting is like really complicated. And I recently just like fired my like last accountant because they kept relying, and they would say like, how much did you pay for this item? And I'm like, my costs are always changing. So like you need to calculate that, and like that's not compliant with like US GAAP. It's called standard costs. You gotta find the sum. You can't just be like, oh, we're gonna estimate how much money we make. Like you gotta get it down to that. That's
yes, yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, having a good bookkeeper is key. So do you have a bookkeeper now, or are you doing it yourself?
Yeah, I have a new bookkeeper who I had before. He's actually going to be my brother-in-law, and we're using this company Finaloop, which I think is going to solve like a lot of our problems. So like I'm really excited. I like just did all the onboarding, and I think what's going to be really cool about Finaloop is that you can see your profit like second to second, day to day, like when you check in, because it'll scan through all of your payments, and you'll have like a more real-time like data view to like drive your business. So I think it's going to be really valuable.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. Yeah, we use an Ecom specific bookkeeper as well as seller board to kind of have our quick views, but then also get like our accurate numbers.
Right. I use like seller board to like gauge like how off my accountants were, and I was like, this is not even close. Because like seller board, that's actually like a rough guess. You know what I mean? Or it's like somewhere in the ballpark.
Yeah. What are your goals this year in terms of what do you guys think you're going to close out with?
So I think we can close out over. I want to do 3.5. I think I'm like right away from like breaking everything open. Like my quality of leads has just been like going through the roof. And like I've recently like found a couple of things I'm really excited about it, like super high ROI. Like I think we could double the business in the next 2 months, honestly.
Wow.
Like
that's pretty exciting.
I have like a decent amount of leverage that I'm already using, like just to be fully transparent. Like I have 500K in loans that I'm using to like build the business, but like my return is like way outpacing my interest, I would say, monthly.
That's awesome.
I'm making like 2 to 3. I'm making like 6x my interest payment in profit per month by using it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. Now, kind of like talk to us about your. Oh, sorry, I just like smashed my mic. Talk to us about your team a little bit. How many people do you have on your team right now?
So it's just me and then one virtual assistant.
Gotcha.
His name's Rick. He's the man. Honestly, I think I first got my VA when I was around 50K a month in revenue. And I mean, I have like about 100 ASINs, and like there definitely is stuff to do, but it doesn't seem like there's like an overwhelming amount of work. It's not like I need to have like another VA right away or something. Like honestly, like if I was doing social media, I'd probably get one just to like do my editing. That's like where I think I would expand next to.
What now? What does your VA mostly do?
So he has like a list of tasks that I give him. Like biggest thing I love about my VA is that I know like I don't have to watch him work or like check in on him. He'll like keep working. Like I could not respond to him for like 5 days and he would still keep doing the tasks. But I have him basically reconcile all of my inventory and then run like return on analysis spreadsheets for me. So like basically like whether it's I get a wholesale catalog pricing and then I forward it to him and say, hey, do the ROI on this. Or I like teach him a way to source and then we use Smart Scout and just like get a whole list, export to Excel. And then I'm like, hey, get the numbers for this. And then we'll get quotes on it, right? And then we'll run the analysis and then we'll see if it's a go or, you know, we need to keep moving.
Gotcha. So I'm guessing you do like all like the buying aspects for your business, even for OA?
I mean, especially online, because I feel like I don't know if you guys have figured out this problem, but if my VA is using a VPN, the top cashback does not work. And you have to file a claim and it's like really annoying and it takes like twice as long.
Yeah, we didn't do this, but the workaround that I know other people have done is you have to have a laptop that you allow them to log into virtually using like, I forget what the different tools are, but where they can remotely control your laptop and then they check out from your laptop because using a VPN is just going to create problems.
Interesting.
Good solution, dude. I like it. I'm gonna give it a try. Maybe not my laptop personally, but somebody else.
Exactly.
No personal laptops.
Exactly. Like get a second one, maybe even just a cheap Chromebook, you know, or maybe not a Chromebook because I don't know if you'd be able to download that software. But just get another cheap laptop and then have that just be the buying laptop. And then what they would do is like, I think Soros would do this. He would just have that laptop always be on, and there would be a couple buyer VAs that could just always access it, and they would just do the purchases from that laptop.
Yeah. You know, I have a lot of people like come, like they want to like do my coaching or whatever. They want me to teach them how to do Amazon. And they're like, oh, but I don't have like a laptop. Like I'm going to do this on my iPad or something. I'm like, dude, this is so
an iPad? That's
You're not doing OA sourcing on an iPad, bro.
I really need to get a laptop. And I'm like, bro, honestly, you should get the best MacBook you can because it runs super fast and you don't have to wait for it to lag and then waste like untold hours of your time.
Or like even
if you're doing, especially if you're doing OA.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're strapped for cash and you actually want to make money on Amazon, just buy a laptop. They're like $200, even if it's just a crappy one. Like
I always say that like Amazon is an investment game. Like if you're super strapped for cash and you can't afford a laptop, like why are you starting a business? You know what I mean?
Don't do Amazon FBA.
That's a great point. Yeah.
That is also true. Now, I'm assuming you have like a 3PL or for prep?
Yeah. So I have one in Atlanta, one in California, and one in Oregon. And then, sometimes I'll do my own prep occasionally, like if I have time. Okay. I'm kind of getting out of that. Personally, I'm paying like 65 cents a unit. So the biggest thing I recommend is that you Amazon barcode all of your items, right? Because I feel like it's so much faster on check-in, and sometimes there's two. So there's two listings for the same item, right? And then when they scan it in at the Amazon center, it can go to either ASIN, and that's how everything gets lost. At least that's what I think.
Interesting. So have you found by doing that you've had less lost shipments?
100%, yeah, because when you do the Amazon barcode, it actually has the ASIN on it, right? So there's two listings. They're just using the same manufacturer barcode. But if you actually tie your item to the ASIN, I feel like the check-in time and like percentage of lost shipments drastically reduces, like 95%.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, great tip for someone who's a beginner. Like, do not do Amazon manufactured barcode if you're doing arbitrage. If you're doing, if it's private label, like if it's you're the only person on the listing, there are no other duplicate listings, or if it's like a specific kind of brand direct exclusive, then you might be able to get away with it. But even for that, like we still use FN SKUs all the time for sure.
Right. Yeah. Don't rely on the manufacturer barcode is the bottom point, right? Like put a sticker on it every time. You'll thank yourself.
Great. Okay. So you mentioned a few minutes ago about you were leveraging about $500,000 in loans. So kind of two topics that I want to touch on. So one is just risk tolerance, right? And what's your personal risk tolerance profile, and how do you go about assessing risk? And then two, what methods did you use to be able to get that sort of capital, right? Because especially for someone starting out, they're like, oh my gosh, like $500,000 to spend on inventory, that seems insane. So is it like an Amazon loan, personal? Did you rate, like, just talk through us like how you assess risk, when you decided it was the right time to bring on debt, and how you were able to get so much in loans.
Okay, so I would say I started my business with personal investment for myself of $27,500. Right. And then I bought inventory and I got myself up to around 30,000 a month, maybe. Maybe I topped out at like 50,000. But then I started like incorporating more leverage, right, through loans, because it's like a basic analysis. I do all FBA, right? So you can't sell items that you haven't already bought. Okay, so the only way to actually, like, Amazon takes a long time to pay you too. Like, it's like 4 weeks after. Like, cash flow is easily like the biggest problem with FBA in general, right? So when you borrow more money, it basically solves the biggest problem in your business, right? So then you can just go and like expand really fast. That's why when you see all of these kids that go from like 0 to $1 million in a year, it's like, well, they just came with a bunch of money, right? And then they made more. That's what I mean. It's an investment game at the end of the day. Like, your job ultimately in OA or wholesale is just to get the highest return on your capital, like however you're going to do it, right? Because that's why people do it. Some people do wholesale because it's more consistent and they're willing to accept maybe a slightly lower ROI to manage risk. My thoughts, my account health is over 600. I've not really ever had a problem with Amazon. All of my like inventory is documented. I've never had a section 3, but if I did, I think I could easily pass it because I'm doing everything by the book, and like I think my systems can handle the risk, right? So like I've already tested them over the last 3 years. Nothing wrong has gone on, and I mean I like to think that I play by the book, and as long as you play within your book and you have documentation, like there's no reason to fear them, right? I think if you're doing like relying on OA for like Nike or like Adidas, that's when you got to be worried.
So what does your current split between OA and wholesale look like right now in the business?
It's about 50-50, but I'm seeing a lot of opportunity, honestly, in both sectors, but I've got a lot of good OA leads lately, and I think like we can double our business on that. Like, I honestly think you could get an OA business over 20 million a year, and I bet you there are some.
So is your focus then mainly on OA and you kind of just do wholesale as it comes to you, or are you more focused on growing the wholesale side?
I will take anything I can get, and I'm just going to like put my money wherever the highest ROI is. Right? Like, I don't discriminate between any of the ways on Amazon. Ideally, I think like private label is like the highest value if you can do it at that number, right? But I think like the easiest way to get high numbers on Amazon and do a lot of business is to do wholesale and OA. Like, PL is infinitely harder.
Yeah. What is your sourcing look like right now, right? Because sourcing for, like, I mean, unless if you're reverse sourcing, that's kind of going to be like the same process at the beginning, but like doing wholesale outreach is very different than doing OA purchasing. So do you have a way that you systematize, like, okay, today's going to be an OA day, tomorrow's going to be a wholesale day? Like, just what does your sourcing process look like for you personally, especially since it's just you and the one VA?
Yeah. So I would say it's pretty sporadic. I'm very ADHD, right? So it's like whatever I'm feeling that day. And then I'll just like, so for all OA, like I like create a system of prospecting and then teach my VA, and then like he'll supply me the leads in the ROI spreadsheet. So it's like whether I'm working with a brand and then because I do all the brand outreach myself, I call them up. Normally that's my first tactic. Like, I always say never hide behind email. So if I call a brand and I get a quote for an item, then I'll have him run that ROI. If not, like, he's doing my OA system in the background.
Got it. Okay. So you're mainly going to be on the phones. Your VA's helping with OA sourcing, and then you review those leads that he gives you for OA.
Yeah. And then he does like the spreadsheets for my wholesale quotes from Brand Direct.
Got it. Okay. Gotcha. Cool.
And he would also coordinate all the shipments with my Brand Direct. I always say, like, you want to try and get the brand preferably to ship straight to Amazon if you can. Like, there's no point in them shipping in a wholesale order to you and then to Amazon if they can't handle this straight to them. And I know a lot of people worry like, oh, is the brand going to figure out how to do Amazon and then I'm going to be out of a customer? But like, honestly, you just have to ask, because if you're working brand direct to the company and they don't want you to sell on Amazon, right? Like it's going to become a problem sooner or later, and you would rather come off, like honest and genuine and try and do the right thing. Like, which leads me to my second point. When I do outreach, I don't say that I'm a FBA seller. I say like a wholesaler, distributor, and retailer. But then I ask every time, are there any restrictions on the product that I should know about when selling it? And if they don't mention Amazon, then like you don't have to. But
that's a great tactic. Yeah. So is that's normally how you kind of broach the topic in regards to Amazon. Now, with those brand directs, when you're doing wholesale, are you also trying to do like some of the partnership stuff where you're updating listings and whatnot too, or are you only looking for profitable products and just want to buy and resell?
So yeah, I have an exclusive, and then I just got an email from another brand yesterday saying that it was just going to be me and these 4 sellers. They put us in a chat and like they want us to meet and like do the A+ content and like brand registry stuff. So that's definitely something that I pitch, but I don't think you're ever going to get a brand like first time contacting them to just go straight to exclusive. I think normally you need to be a reseller for a few years and like just demonstrate that honestly demonstrate confidence of Amazon, because a lot of these brands have no idea what's even happening in the back end. And honestly, like they can't make a sale rationally, right? So they're doing it unemotionally. Like they trust you basically. So if you sound like you know what you're talking about and you display confidence and you keep selling a product for a few years, I think you'll have an eventual play on the exclusive. But you also have to bring that up with the brand first.
Yeah, I definitely like that. I was just really curious. I know it's a little off topic. For your OA side of your business, let's just say, is there like items where you're like, oh, it only sells like 30 times a month, like it's not even worth it?
I think at one point I expanded to like over 120 products, and I would literally take anything like that. Like I would just buy like 5 units. Now I'm kind of like eliminating that from my playbook just because I think it really made my sell-through rate go down.
Gotcha.
Like I was buying a bunch of like quality inventory, right? But my sell-through rate was going from like 2.0 to like under 1.0. So I was like, realistically, like a fast nickel is better than a slow dime. So I'm trying to focus more on high volume products.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. It's also just easier to manage a catalog where you have things that are moving more often, right? Like that's one thing I definitely do not miss about OA is trying to go through and replan all of these things that sell 5 or 10 a month versus now it's like, I mean, we have a couple products where they might only sell a handful of times a month, but I mean, even like most of our stuff we're selling at least, like I like a product that sells at least 100 times a month, if I'm being honest. Like if I can have something that I know is going to sell at the minimum 3 to 5 times a day, that's ideal. And then, higher volume stuff after that where it's selling, 10, 20 times a day is the best. It's just easier to do forecasting for it too.
Yeah. So like when I forecast like how good a SKU is, like I always do like expected monthly profit, right?
Yes.
Yep. Like you sold the total units, right? And then I think it's really useful on SellerAmp where you can turn on the buy box share thing and you can break down like who's winning it. And then I always like feel very confident that I can steal like at least 25 to 50% of it because I'm going to buy deep. I'm going to use FBA for everything. And then I'm going to like turn on SellerSnap. And I think like when you combine those 3 things together, it makes you like very competitive on any buy box, like pretty much no matter what.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Do you do anything with like coupons or PPC?
So I buy discounted gift cards. I like Arbitrage Card, GCX, and Card Depot. And every time I'm going to buy a card, I just shop the rate between the 3 of them and then like select the one with the biggest discount.
Gotcha. Do you do any PPC on your Amazon listings to try and boost buy box share or just, get a couple extra sales with like a low bid catch-all?
Yeah. Okay. So I learned this one from Corey Ganem, and it's like
shout out
Corey Ganem for teaching this one. It's like a 5 cent catch-all campaign. You turn it on for your whole product. It takes literally 3 minutes to set up. If you're interested, check out Corey's video on this. but I'm getting 77 ROAS. So like for every $1 I spend on advertising, I'm getting $77 back in revenue.
Yeah, which it's just, there's no reason anyone shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super, super hack.
I know. I've actually tried to like approach like large brands and be like, hey, I can turn this thing on for you. Like you can make a ton of money. Like if you had like if you had a brand like, I don't know, like Colgate or something like that, and they just like turn that on for their stuff, like that would make them probably like $1 million a year.
Easily. Yeah.
Nice.
And we do that for all of our brand directs as well. Like on the brand level, we have a low bid catch-all, and it's like the ROAS on is just so high. Like you're not going to get that much in spend, right?
Yeah.
Like depending on what your catalog is, because it's really going to depend on the category, but you might like, spend $100, but then that $100 is going to bring you back like almost $1,000 in sales, or even more sometimes, which is just like, why would you not do that?
Right. I don't know if you've done like Google ads or like Meta ads before, but like, I mean, especially during COVID, like the stuff was so competitive that like one click could be like $2+.
Oh yeah. I mean, even on Amazon right now for some of our products,
Yeah.
it's like we're looking at like $3 to $5 per click, and that's not even per sale, right? So if you're getting a 10% conversion rate, that means you need 10 clicks to get one sale, which means you're spending $30 to $50 to acquire a customer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So I see like a lot of people and they're like hesitant they have Shopify brands, right? And they're hesitant to like sell on Amazon, and they're like, oh, but like, what about the fees? Like it's so much or whatever. But I'm like, think about your advertising spend. Like you're spending way more than 15% like to draw traffic to like do this conversion. And there's a lot of like natural demand on Amazon that you can get, as you guys see, just like selling wholesale. Like you guys do the 5-cent catch all, but it's not like you're like pumping PPC like down people's throats, and that's the only reason why people are purchasing. Like it's a private label item.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many advantages to being on Amazon for a brand.
Yeah, I totally agree. Are there any maybe categories that you don't totally like to sell on Amazon? On the OA side of things, probably.
Flammable can be tough, but I don't. Here's a little tip: if you ever like do get a brand that's flammable, you're capped to like 5 or 10 square feet, right? But you can just start a case with Amazon and ask them to increase your like niche ones, not your regular or oversized. But if it's like flammable, and you're like, hey, I'm running this new brand, like this stuff is made with alcohol. It's explosive, so I need more flammable storage. And they'll be like, okay, here you go. Just submit your invoice. We need to know how many units are coming. And they're like, okay, now you have like 700 square feet.
Super interesting. Nice. Just create that case. Good communication.
Exactly.
That's what being an Amazon seller is all about, isn't it? It's crazy. That's awesome. That's another great tip. So what has kind of Amazon allowed you to do with your life? Obviously, you've gone to Shopify. Everyone has like their dream life of how they want to live, whether it's like their time, money they're getting. How has Amazon allowed you to kind of live potentially or get closer to your dream life?
So I think it's like definitely changed my life a lot. When I started Amazon, I just finished my MBA and I was working at IBM. And I mean, now after 3 years there, like it's allowed me to like basically functionally retire. Like, you know what I mean? Like now I'm just like making money off my inventory instead of like actively trading my time. So it's like allowed me to live in New York City, go to all the restaurants I want, DJs, travel around the world. Like, I mean, it's like very freeing and powerful once you get there. But I honestly encourage like most people, it's not realistic because you might not have enough capital already to like retire you, right? So it's like if you want to own your own business and that's all you're doing, and you're not trading time for money or services, like you need to have like a shitload of money in order to buy stuff to get a return on investment, right? Like if you only have 5K, like you haven't played enough defense to get the ball. You know what I mean? Like you're not ready for offense. So I encourage everyone, especially when they're starting Amazon, don't quit your job or anything, and have a job. It'll really help.
Yeah,
I really like that for you. You haven't played enough defense to get the ball. I like that.
And kind of like,
so are you, sorry, Josh, just quick side tangent. Are you a big traveler? Like where's the coolest place you travel to?
I'm a big traveler. So I'd say my fun fact is I've been to all 7 continents. I've been to Antarctica, I've been to Africa, Hong Kong. I think one of my favorite trips was last year to Mallorca in Spain. I studied abroad in Italy. Like, I don't know. I'm looking forward to Euro summer. So.
Oh, that's
Nice.
sick. Wait, so bro, where's the travel YouTube blog?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm not like too big into. I don't post that much on social media, honestly.
Bro,
But
you got that travel vlog's gotta come, bro.
Is that something that you're thinking about in the future as you continue with Amazon, or what does that look
Yeah,
like?
I mean, I'm thinking about building my own brand, right? Because some people ask me, they're like, I tell them how much it is for me to mentor them, and they're like, oh, I'm not sure, like, why are you doing that instead of like not just pursuing the opportunity? And I'm like, bro, like, I'm maxing out my capital. Like, at some point, it makes sense to like trade time for money, right? So that's why I do it, not because like, oh, I'm just like trying to like grift and like scam people. It's like, no, because like I literally can't sell things that I don't buy. So the only way to increase my money is to like give other people my knowledge or basically trade my time, right? Because I've already invested everything.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So kind of building that out. What have you spoken at any events yet?
I have not. Honestly, I've never been to an Amazon event in person, but I think I'm going to change that. I saw you guys are both down at the Miami Seller Conference. Like, maybe I'll think it. Maybe I'll go to the one in Jersey that's coming up. Like, what is that?
I was gonna say, yeah, bro, if you have to go to Sellers United, that's like around the corner from you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
definitely come to that.
I'll come this year.
Awesome.
Nice.
That.
Nice. I love that. Well, where can people go find you on the internet, Sean?
Okay, so you can find me at Sean Kaup on X and same on Instagram. I would say I do most of my Amazon content is focused around like practical tips and tricks that like you can use to optimize your business. I think like I give the best advice to people who are actively in the Amazon game, because I think there are a lot of people who watch these videos and they're like trying to determine if they should start a seller account in the first place, right? And what I would say is like, you watching YouTube is great, but like you're not going to learn anything until you start going and like failing and running into problems. Basically, that's when you actually learn how to do Amazon.
Yeah, I love it. Like you never know what problems you're gonna have unless you actually do it. I mean, you could have almost all the answers. You can watch all the YouTube videos, but you might not even know how to create a case with Amazon. And next thing you know, a ding comes on your account and you're out of business. So absolutely. I totally agree there.
Got to be vigilant for that for sure.
Gotta be. Absolutely. All right, guys, if you got value from this episode, give it a like and subscribe to Ecom Unlimited so you can stay updated on all of our new content. Sean, thanks for coming on.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we will see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.